In Rise of Kingdoms, the open field can be very competitive. Everybody tries to use any small trick to try and get an advantage over other players. And I'm not talking about basic stuff like investing in the right commanders and using the right equipment. I'm talking about really, really simple things that a lot of players may not know. Stuff that is kind of essential to getting the best trades possible, because at the end of the day, if you're fighting on the field wrong, you're not going to get good trades. So today, I'm going to give you 10 tips, starting with number 10 being the most basic stuff, up to some of the more advanced things, especially for newer players who might not know this, looking at some ways to maximize open field value, or at least outsmart your opponents on the field to get you the best trades possible. So if you're interested in getting better trades on the open field, or maybe you just want to learn a small trick that you didn't know about open field fighting, you want to stick around till the end of the video. Now let's just start off today by going right into our first tip, and this is a relatively simple tip. Most players do know about this, but whenever you're fighting on the open field, you want to use the right boost. Generally, the best boosts to run are a 24-hour enhanced defense boost and also an advanced army expansion. Just running these boosts on the open field instantly is going to give you, well, if you get the correct boost for defense, a 10% defense bonus and up to 50% more troops. The more troops you have in a march, the better you are going to perform. I highly recommend for bigger open field fights, let's say you're doing a Kingsland fight and you know you're going to be on for quite a while, go and purchase the 24-hour enhanced defense. It can give you up to a 10% defense bonus instead of the 5%, and for 750 gems, this is very good value for the open field. Small amount of gems for a massive boost, it is going to be worth it. So purchasing your enhanced defense boost and using them in your bigger open field fights are worth it, and also using the 50% expansions is going to be worth it for big open field fights. Generally, you can get enough of these for super cheap, whether it be in the courier station or especially Osiris League events when they come around. That advanced army expansions should be used in almost every single major battle you do. Maybe for something like ruin fights, like the Dark Altar, you can get away with using a basic army expansion, but otherwise, I would use the advanced army expansion for Zone 5, Zone 6, Kingsland, all that is an advanced army expansion, just because 50% more units is a lot compared to 25%. So using a boost, really, really simple way just to get more value, and I'm sure most players knew this, but it is always nice to get a small reminder about it. Going on with boosts, and this is also number 9, collecting runes. I currently don't have any runes, I think, on the map, but runes are essential when it comes down to doing open field fights, for the very simple reason of runes allow you to get a much better trade. You can get up to 10% extra health, for example, by just having a rune active, and 10% health can make a huge difference. Now, runes can be found anywhere along the Lost Kingdom, whether it be at your Crusader Fortress, or it could just be at your level 4 camps, or even just a shrine, for example. So having runes is going to be really good. Often, most alliances will mark out the best rune. So, for example, you might only have a 10% defense rune. It'll most likely be marked. Just making sure you have any rune that's going to give you any bonus active at the bare minimum. Generally, you want to try and get a defense rune as an added bonus, and this isn't really open field fighting related, but if you are healing troops and there is a troops healing speed rune, you might want to get that because it's going to save you some healing speed ups in the long run. So generally with runes, in my opinion, the best order is a 10% health, then a 10% defense, then a 10% troop attack and troop march speed, or 7% for both, and then a 10% attack rune. So generally that's what you're going to be looking at, kind of in that order. Any of those runes, if you have a 10% health, you're in the best position. If you have a 10% defense, you're still pretty good. And if you got the attack and march speed mix, that's pretty nice. Other than that, you're kind of in a bad situation. Generally, though, within how many different runes you can get from the Lost Kingdom, you'll find a good one. And having the one to heal your hospital is going to be quite nice. Going on with hospital as well, at number 8, we have checking your hospital. Ensuring that your hospital is always as empty as possible is very essential. You do not want to have an overflowing hospital because it's just going to kill your units for no reason. Now, I don't have enough troops in my hospital right now to showcase this, but as your KVK goes on, you can see where my cursor is right now, near your VIP. Whenever your hospital gets close to full, there's going to be a bit of a red cross or red X there. That's going to be telling you your hospital is full. It's literally like this symbol right here, except that is white, that like little plus symbol. and it's going to have a red background. That means your hospital is really, really close to full. I think it means it's like 75 to 80% full, and you should probably heal it. Now, I wouldn't heal my hospital after every single fight. Healing it when it's closer to full will let you get more value from your health speed ups and also the hospital reductions, because it does stack better that way. And also you have a limited number of helps each day, so if you're constantly healing hospitals that aren't really full, it is not worth doing. But if you're healing a hospital that's close to full, or at least around half full, you're getting a pretty good amount of value, and it is worth it. So checking the hospital, making sure that you're healing those 7 wounds constantly is gonna be quite nice. Coming in at number 7, this is quite a simple one. It is just having your loadout set correctly. Often in KVKs, especially if you guys are being invaded or you're on the defense, there's going to be some nice moments where some marchers are going to walk past your city, and you're going to want to hit them with a bunch of marchers just to wipe them out. Whether it be a rally march, whether it be someone whose march got dragged out of their murder ball, you may have a march walk past your city, and having the correct marchers set up into your loadouts is going to be really important. So let's say I wanted to attack a march, I instantly have the multi-select here, I can hit march, and boom, my marchers are going to be on the open field, ready to attack the person right off the bat, and often it can get you a full T5 march that you just demolish. So ensuring you've got march setups is really nice. Also, you can have, and I don't have it set up right now, but you can have marchers, for example, to fill a rally. Often people switch one of their loadout sections to a rally fill up. So for example, this one with Kira, I might switch it to a fast commander like Belisarius with a bybars, because that's a really fast cavalry march, and fill it with cavalry so I can fill a garrison super fast or fill a rally super fast, which is nice. Just having those set up, especially when you're about to go into Kingsland or a big fight, is going to help you. And having a march set up in general, it's just going to save quite a bit of time for you overall. So that's a nice thing to have, and it is going to help you quite a bit on the open field. On the topic of marches and march setup, another thing to do, especially if you're on PC, and I think there is a way to do this on mobile as well, it is to set your marches up in terms of allocating them to a hotkey. To do this on PC, you're going to click the Alt button on your keyboard, the left click on your mouse, and drag it, and it's going to make this square. Put this square over your marches, and then click Control and whatever number you want. So for example, I want the marches to be bound to number 1. I click Control 1, and there's a little 1 there, and now all my marches are bound to the number 1. I can double click the 1 to go straight to my marches. I can activate my marches by clicking 1, and once I activate them, I can just hit right click to instantly start attacking something. So ensuring your marches are bound before you go into combat is going to give you a lot of maneuverability. Not only can you hit 1 to find your marches, not only can you hit 1 to activate them, you can also hit 1 and then hit R to retreat them back to your city. So doing that is going to help you get more maneuverability on the open field, and overall being able to just right click your marches around the map is going to be nice for you, and the fact that you can just hit R and move back to your city is really good. On top of this, if you have your marches bound to whatever number it is, you don't have to double click on the side to select them. You won't select the wrong march either, because it's just a number you have to click. And if you're fighting near Alliance territory, you can click 1 and right click on Alliance territory. This is a small thing. It's going to give you more march speed, because technically the game counts you as on Alliance territory if you click into Alliance territory when you're marching back. Another small tip you can use when you're on the open field, especially in big open field brawls, something like this, or even bigger if you're in a bigger KVK, is to use the zoomed out mode, where you get to see the troop icons, and it's going to be colored with whichever side you're on. So for example, if I set myself to go on to, let's say, a certain team, I think there's a way to do that. Give me 1 second. Let's say I've set myself and I am a part of possibly, let's say, water camp. I'm in water camp, all my marches are blue. If I zoom out, you can see I'm able to see where all my allies are, and I'm able to see where all my enemies are. They're going to show up as a white symbol, and you can kind of get a gauge of where your marches are. Your own marches will be green whenever you zoom out like this, so you can see if you wander too far into an enemy murder ball, like this archer march here has. You can see if your murder ball is pushing or retreating, because you'll have a better overall view of the open field. So just being able to use this mode where you're kind of zoomed out a little bit, and you can still control your marches if you bind them to a number. So for example, like we bound them to the number 1 before, is going to give you a good kind of overview of what's happening on the open field and let you control your marches better and accordingly, because adapting to the open field is the most important thing to ensure that you don't just get your marches absolutely destroyed. So being able to have a bit of a zoomed out perspective overall is going to help you on the field, and it means that you're going to be able to get some nicer and better trades. So the zooming out feature and being able to look at the open field from above with your marches in there is going to help you have better control and allow you to predict what's going to happen next. If your allies will retreat, if your enemies will push, if you're going to continue fighting, it'll kind of tell you what is going to happen and let you act accordingly and let you get better trades, because you're able to move and adapt with the field in almost real time. The next tip when it comes down to fighting on the open field is quite important, and that is staying with some type of immutable. You can see right there, this person from RP got absolutely demolished because they've gone out of their mutable and someone is picking them off. So sticking with a group of people, even if it isn't the main mutable, but being with multiple marchers, is going to give you a better chance of survival. Obviously, if you get ambushed by a huge ball, you're going to get wrecked, but if you stick with a main mutable, you're going to guarantee better trades. Even if you're a whale, sticking with a ball is good. Now, if you're a massive whale, you can probably just slam your marches into your opponents and get decent trades, but generally sticking with a mutable, sticking with a group of people is going to make it safer to move around the map, because if people jump you, you can pretty much swarm them with 15 marches, and B, moving with the mutable is going to be really nice for you. The better you move with the ball, the more you team up with people, the easier you can push, the easier you can attack people, and the easier you can force them out. So you can see here, this group of people from ATSP are chasing out this person who's obviously gone away from their mutable. This is probably a farm account, but it is just an example of being able to use a mutable to your advantage. Sticking with a group is going to give you the best chance of being able to get away from being picked off, because sometimes another group's just going to come along and wreck your march, and it's also going to give you a very nice chance of being able to get better trades on the field. So sticking with a mutable is always a #1 priority in any situation. If you're in an altar fight especially, you want to stick with a mutable, because if you go rogue in altars, you're going to pretty much get absolutely destroyed. So sticking with that mutable is extremely important and going to let you get better trades. I always recommend, whenever you're fighting, mutable, #1 priority. If you fall out of that mutable, try and get back into it as soon as possible, or you end up in a situation where your march gets picked off and you're just going to get a really bad trade. So sticking with the ball is the best thing to do, and it's going to give you the best trades that you possibly can, because when a kingdom groups up, it's like a bunch of marchers fighting. When everyone fights on their own, it's like a bunch of free kills for your opponents. So once you start to see you break through enemy mutables, you'll notice all the marchers split off, and that's when people get a ton of crazy good trades, because people aren't really able to fight back against being 7x swarmed by a ball that is working together. So working together in a mutable, it's a very small thing, but it is a nice thing to do, and it is quite important. So don't go rogue unless you're a massive whale. Stick with that ball, and you're going to be in a pretty nice situation. Another thing, and this is getting into the more complicated parts of the open field, is called city popping or cheeseburgering. Most people know of this. It is quite a simple thing to grasp. It is literally just putting a march into a city, probably an allied city or an allied flag or a resource point, and just jumping out of the city and attacking someone. So let's say, for example, I've got a march in this city right here, and there's like kind of a bigger group of mutables outside of this city. Obviously, I can't take them on alone. Most of the players in our alliance might be offline. Maybe it's your downtime. What you can do is pop out of the city, and because of the way the game works, you're going to be able to build up quite a bit of rage before your opponents can react, and you're able to drop an active skill into your opponents and then run right back into the city, which is going to make you completely invincible, and you get away with it. Often, it lets you get an active skill off before your opponents can even hit you, and in most situations, if you're running a double AoE march, like a dueling with a Herman, you're going to absolutely decimate whoever you're attacking, and it's going to let you get a nice, good trade. I've seen some city pops where you can get up to 200,000 kill points from a single active skill if it lines up well and you're on alliance territory and a lot of stuff, but generally, you can get quite a nice positive trade if you city pop correctly. Just go out for an active skill, instantly run back in the city once it triggers, and you're only going to take some normal damage from the opponents who do end up attacking you. It's a really nice way to force people away from territory. It's a nice way to get quite a few easy kill points, and it is quite important to do on the open field. So using cities to your advantage is extremely nice, especially if there's a lot of opponents crowded around them. You can use a nice city popping strategy. Another thing you can do, if you bind all your marches to one is you can do something like this if there's a rally. So let's say there's a rally and I've got marchers in like 2 or 3 cities. I can hit one and then right click and jump out and instantly attack that rally. It's like 5 marchers instantly hitting the rally. You're going to get some nice damage in there if you're swarming it. Or you can just set up a trap. So for example, if you've just had a rally run through your territory and you know which direction they're going to go, you can fill up a bunch of cities, and when they come near that, you can just jump out with the right click and instantly smash their marchers. So using city popping to your advantage is good. The fact that if you're on PC, you can bind all the marchers to a number and instantly jump out of every single city at once is going to be insane. If you have a lot of people doing this, you can pretty much instantly kill a rally and it's almost impossible to stop. Now the trades are going to be really bad, so it's only good if you need to stop the rally. But if you are looking to swarm down a rally and you've surrounded a flag with cities and you've filled those flags with troops that are going to attack the rally, you're in a good position to pretty much just decimate anything there. So if you're in that situation, it's good to just pop out of the city and start hitting everything with that one march or that group of marchers, especially if you're doing with more than one person. So let's say it's 3 whales, for example, with a 7 march murder ball. That's 21 marchers that are hitting a rally almost instantaneously, and it's going to pretty much decimate it because by the time they can kill all 21 marchers, the rally's going to take a ton of damage. The flag's going to be hitting him as well, and if that flag has AoE on it, you're probably going to drag some people into the AoE too, which is going to give you Alliance an even better trade. It's going to give them deads at the cost of only some 7 wounds for you. The next tip is kind of more for a bad situation. If you end up in a situation where you think you're going to be rallied, a really nice thing to do is dump as many troops as you can, especially useless troops to your garrison, into a flag. So let's say, for example, you're a majority archer garrison like mine would be. I would try and put all my troops, especially archer troops, into an enemy flag. Let's say you're in your allied flag. So let's say you're in prison. Let's say there's some horrible situation where you cannot get away from being rallied. You have to take a city rally, and you know you're probably going to take a ton of deads if you just let it play out. Hiding troops in a flag can pretty much let you save up to 1 million or more units, depending on obviously if you're running a expansion. So if you're running an advanced expansion, you can hide even more units, and if you've got high level crystal tech, you can hide even more. I think at the max, usually when I was playing KVKs, if I had boosts running, I could put up to 1.5 million units in a flag, which is a lot. It is the majority of units in my city, and then because of the increased hospital capacity, I was able to pretty much just let them zero my city, and I would take 0 deads at that cost. So being able to hide troops in a flag, really important if you're in a dire situation and you need to save a bunch of troops. So if you're about to be rallied, being able to put the troops in a flag is a really, really nice way to achieve some protection and save some troops for your city. It's pretty much a way to guarantee that you don't get zeroed. It's more for smaller accounts, but even for bigger accounts, you can hide, let's say, your T5 units or your T1s that you don't want to fill up your hospital into a flag, because T1s are going to be really bad in a garrison, and they're just going to make your hospital fill up and give you more dead. So in those situations, you can hide T1s, T3s, whatever it may be, into a castle or a flag, and it's just going to save you a bunch of 7 wounds that you would have taken otherwise. Whether it be a small amount or a big amount, like the 50,000 battering rams there, it is nice to just shove them into a flag and save you a ton of units. So it's a good thing to do if you're about to be rallied and there's no way around it. And even if you want to do some annoying things, like you want to do a bunch of city farming or resource node attacking, you can hide all your troops in a flag and only take 1 march with you and pretty much sit in your opponent's kingsland and just constantly annoy them. So when it comes down to it, hiding troops in a flag is going to help you, and it's going to be a nice strategy for either annoying your opponents because they can't zero you, or stopping them from being able to take out your city. The last thing, and this is going to be the most complicated concept in my opinion to fully understand, it is being able to use terrain to your advantage. The terrain in Rise of Kingdoms is really, really important. Obviously, there's reasons there's mountains, there's reasons there are rivers on the map, and it is to obviously benefit whoever is using the terrain in their advantage. So that means if you are fighting on the open field, using terrain at your best advantage is important. So when it comes down to building flags, and this is more of a R4 thing, building away from rivers. So for example, if you have to defend a flag from your opponent's territory, and for example, this is an opponent, so the orange territory is fighting the purple territory, there'd be almost no reason to build a flag over here. Even though you do have the ability to do it, the terrain is not very good. There's a crystal mine there that's going to block TP spots, there's a lot of resource nodes, and there's a huge river in the way, which means your opponents have a lot more room to port in cities and then just completely demolish you. So using the terrain to your advantage is important. And another thing when it comes down to open field fighting, you can use the terrain in terms of resource and deposits to jump away from opponents. So let's say I'm being chased by an opponent right now. I can use my allied cities and also resource nodes to kind of get away from that opponent, especially if it's just one week march. I can go from city to city. So my Henry with my Zulaing can just hop from city to city through resource nodes, because not only does it give you a small teleport window, it can make you unattackable. Obviously, if you have the ability to jump into a city that's on safe territory, do that, because it's going to allow you to be invincible. They can't kill that march. But if you need to jump through resource nodes, you can. Often it allows you to outrun pretty much any march in the game, because you'll only take normal damage from them, because you'll outrun their active skill cycle. So jumping through resource nodes, really good thing. It's going to let you abuse the terrain, abuse the mechanics a little bit of the game, and get away from opponents and let you get even better trades. So that is it for my 10 Rise of Kingdoms open field tips. If you found those tips useful, interesting, or just reaffirming some knowledge you already knew, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It's a really small thing to do, it really does support me, and it shows that these videos are interesting. So if you found these tips useful, if you already knew them and you just found the video entertaining, it is always nice to consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot, and it is very much appreciated. Other than that, I just want to say I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.